Hey guys, welcome back to another art video. I really shouldn't have gotten this, but I just couldn't control myself. So this is the full 225 set of Holbein oil pastels. They're really high quality, really buttery and smooth, and I found a really good deal online for it, so I just went ahead and snagged it. So let's just go ahead and open it. It looks like it's already been opened from the top. Alright, first thing, a lot of bubble wrap. And then the box. Turn box over to open. Okay. Okay, it's a little heavy. I'm gonna need both my hands, so I'll take it out and then return to the video. So surprisingly, the box isn't really that big. I was expecting it to be the same size as like the Rembrandt soft pastel wooden box because it has the same number of pastels in it, 225, so I was expecting it to be a little bit bigger, but it just could mean that the oil pastels are a little bit thinner. So ooh, that looks really cool. I like how each of the pastel sets are in its own casing. That makes everything like really neat and tidy, and you don't have to smell that oil pastel smell as soon as you open it, so that's the advantage of having them all sealed up like this. And the second layer, these are in really good shape for a used oil pastel set, like really good shape. Okay, I'm not sure how I'm supposed to, because see, it kind of recedes in here a little bit, so I can't. I'm just trying to wing it. Alright, and here's the last set. This yellow is a little bit dirty, also this red, but yep, that's all of them. I want to try and see. Okay, so the cover just comes off like that, and these, wow, these feel really buttery and like smooth. Also a little bit mushy, so I'm afraid to apply a lot of pressure to them. I wish they did have a paper cover on them, because I usually, when you use the paper cover, you don't get a lot of pigment onto your hands, so I kind of wish that the paper cover was still there. But that's okay. A lot of people say they don't like the paper cover because it like interferes with them using the pastel, because they usually just tear it off as soon as they get them. But I'm not like one of those people, so kind of wish they had paper covers. Okay, I'm going to bring out my test papers just like I did before and do the sample coloring. Alright, so for the paper test, I brought out my 4 different types of papers just like I did before. The first one is Canson mi-teintes, the second one is Fabriano sketchbook paper, the third one is student grade gray watercolor paper, and the fourth one is my Roma Fabriano handmade paper. So let's just try the opacity of the white oil pastel first. These pastels feel like really soft. It's not even funny. It feels very soft. Okay. So I'm gonna try it out here first. Surprisingly, not that opaque. It's actually harder than the Caran D'Ache oil pastel that I used previously right here. Yeah, it's a little bit harder. That's interesting. You can see that it almost resembles the craze that I did over here. It's not as opaque as the Caran D'Ache, which I'm quite surprised. I thought, because from the reviews, a lot of people were saying that Holbein is as creamy as Sennelier. So I was expecting similar results, but it actually feels a lot harder than the Caran D'Ache oil pastels. that I got previously, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, harder oil pastels, you can blend it more into the paper, so it still works out. I got a lot of black on my finger. It does blend quite nicely though. Alright, so now I just chose out one of the value packs and I'm just going to do the transition from the darkest color. Let's do it down here. They give off a lot of good pigmentation though, so I do like that. And they feel quite nice to use. But again, you can see the lightest color isn't that pigmented. So using these on toned paper would be a bit of a challenge. Actually, what I should have done was just do them on all the papers. So this on the Fabriano, this is the gray student grade, and this is the Roma. I like how they're turning out on the Roma. They're not showing that many gaps as the Caran D'Ache oil pastels were showing. And the last color, and there we go. It's actually, it looks pretty good on this Roma paper, even more than the Fabriano paper. It feels very, very soft and buttery when you try to blend it out with your finger. It works really well with your finger if you want to blend. So that's something to look forward to. The Caran D'Ache is a little more, like, it's creamy when you're laying it on with the stick, the pastel stick, but when you try to blend out the pigment, it's a little bit hard. So, but that could be just because I put this on like a few days ago, so it had time to dry. But it definitely feels like the Holbeins are much more creamier to blend out. If you want to see on the Canson mi-teinte, it just blends out right away. But again, you can see all these little spaces that's left behind. So, not my favorite paper. But definitely Roma or Fabriano, they're holding this pastel really well. And that's all for this review. And I must say, the reason why I was really tempted to get these was because in 2007, 2008-ish, Holbein discontinued the 2s and the 4s of each color. So the full 225 set is no longer available since like 2008. But you can still get lucky and find like a used set. So since I found this used set, I just snagged it. It's not that important that these two colors are no longer available because you can still make it if you mix the 1 and the 3, and if you can make the 4th color if you mix 3 and 5. So it's just more convenient to have extra colors though when you're painting with oil pastels or pastels in general. The more colors the better. So that's why I got them, and I'm not too crazy about the square shape of them. I more prefer the circular shape, so kind of wish they were circular. And I think I want to start using them with gloves because when I was touching them and like using them straight from the stick, it was getting a little mushy and my hands started I think my hands were melting the oil pastel as I was using it, so I'm definitely going to try using them with gloves, but I definitely think they're a top-notch oil pastel, although not as opaque. Well, pretty much the same creaminess as Caran D'Ache oil pastels, but not as opaque as Caran D'Ache. So that's something to keep in mind. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.